great story. It's a grand piano. It's a Baldwin, and this piano was originally at Pier 69. And at one point in time, Elizabeth Keith was working here at the museum as a volunteer, and she called me up and asked if I wouldn't bring my students to come play in the museum. And I said, well, Elizabeth, you need to get a piano in the museum, and then I'll have my students come and perform for their recitals. Cool. And so what she did was get off the phone and then took the next phone call, and it was Eunice Chandberg. And Eunice said, I have a grand piano I want to donate. Do you guys want it? And just like that, we got a grand piano at the museum center. So they brought the piano pair, and I held my recitals here on this lovely piano for several years before Maria, and then including after Maria. And then once COVID hit, Jay Weiss, the museum director here, the museum manager here, invited me to come teach my lessons here full time. So I brought my students all over here during COVID, and that was really nice to have a venue that we could use. It was open air. It made everyone feel safe to do private lessons. And so many thanks to Candia Atwater for starting this beautiful center. She is the originator of this idea of this museum. Many thanks to Elizabeth Keith, Eunice Chandberg for getting the piano here. And then the manager at the time was Daphne McIntosh Rodriguez. And she is the one that actually got the piano moved into the main gallery for me. And so because of Daphne, now we have an entire performance venue in the middle of a fabulous art gallery.
Yes, you do. Hey, Elizabeth, listen, we just went live. Let me start the program with welcoming the people and telling a little bit about you.
Okay.
Welcome everybody to joining us from a live remote from the Caribbean Museum Center for the Arts with Elizabeth Robb here on Children of the Sun. We're here every Friday afternoon, 12:30 to 2:30 on WSTX AM 970. So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the program. Welcome to the weekend. So I want to say good afternoon and welcome to Christiansted, Fredericksted, Kings Hill, Buck Island, St. Thomas, St. John, Water Island, St. Kitts, Nevis, Antigua, Aruba, Puerto Rico, and the Florida Keys as the ionosphere cooperates, and really welcome to the world because we are also streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and the radio station's website, of course, WSTXradio.com. Just click the listen live icon. So my guest today is Elizabeth Robb. She's St. Croix's very own musical virtuoso. She holds a Bachelor's of Music degree from San Francisco State University with a concentration in African music at the University of California at Berkeley with master drummer C.K. Ledzepko of Ghana. Ms. Robb's formal music studies began on piano at the age of 6. She continued on oboe from 7th grade and continued on saxophone, piano, percussion, and voice throughout college. Qualified in all areas of music studies, her focus has been on ethnomusicology, writing a master's level thesis on African polyrhythm. Additional studies were conducted in jazz at the Berklee School of Music in Boston, music and video recording technology at Boylston Street Studios and Channel 25 in San Francisco, and video editing, Channel 20, my former favorite station, Washington, D.C. Before moving to St. Croix, she worked for several years with the Smithsonian Institution in Washington as a program coordinator and video editor for 6 major festivals, including the 1990 Smithsonian Folklife Festival featuring the U.S. Virgin Islands. She was then hired as general coordinator for the restaging of the festival in St. Croix in 1991. She's a National Merit Scholar, a member of the Golden Key National Honor Society, was a guest speaker, composer, and performer on KPFA in San Francisco, NPR, and our very own WSTX radio station where you're listening right now. She has received San Francisco's prestigious Cable Car Award and was the keynote speaker for the Caribbean Cultural Conference at Frostburg State University. So, and now you are here on St. Croix in the U.S. Virgin Islands, teaching music at various schools. You've got a couple of ensemble groups that you created and manage and perform with. And you're here. Is this the set? You're at the Baldwin Piano at the Caribbean Museum Center for the Arts. Is that the second floor?
I'm sorry? Yes.
Are you on the second floor?
I'm on the second floor. Yeah, let me show you. It's actually really lovely.
The piano is on the second floor.
Yeah, it's a beautiful second-story view right here on the historic waterfront. So you can enjoy the art gallery at the same time as enjoying beautiful music.
Yeah, you know, my wife one time was walking down the beach in Frederiksted, and this was, I forget the correct name, the Pink House on the Beach. It's now part of the Fred, but this was before the Fred. And she heard this beautiful ethereal piano music coming out of the building, and it was you. She was just transfixed by it. So now people can listen to you and be transfixed and while they look at art.
That's exactly right. And I feel very lucky today. I have a couple of guests with me. I've invited a couple of people from the museum to come up later into the broadcast. But,
cool.
I also have a couple of musicians who are willing to play with me today to augment some of the songs I've
that would be great.
Yeah,
that would be great. Well,
yeah.
You want to start? Would you like to maybe just start with some music right now?
Sure, we can start with a couple of my solo songs.
Okay, cool.
So the first one I call Gratitude, and this is actually one that I wrote before Maria.
Okay.
And finished it once I evacuated it from Maria. For my mother, it was gratitude for Rod. Ho, hello.
Hello, there you are.
So sorry, we lost you there for a minute.
I lost you.
Oh, okay.
All right, let's see.
Ready.
There you are. Okay.
All right.
I am ready for some beautiful music this wonderful Friday afternoon, starting off of a great weekend.
Offering you a composition I wrote called Gratitude.
Gratitude. Wow.
Thank you. Gratitude from my mom, dad, Brad Copeman, gratitude to all the people of St. Croix.
That was excellent. That was beautiful. I kind of, I like the little surprising little flourishes in there. It sounds very classical music-y.
Well, I actually joke with friends, I think Bach wasn't done, and he streamed through me. Because it's very unlike most of the other things I write. So, let me give you a taste of another That was Ascension. It was going to be Happiness is Contagious. I wrote it for my dad to make him happy because he was grieving. My mom was very ill. And he said, no. That name is Ascension. I'm ascending. It feels so, it's bringing me up so high. So there's almost always a reason why songs come through.
So you named it, did I hear you right? You named it Ascension instead of Contagious?
Happiness is Contagious was my name, which is too many syllables anyway. And my dad said, nah, that's Ascension. So it was very fun.
Yeah,
My father was not in favor of me being a musician. He, in fact, told me not to be a musician. And I told him, Dad, it's kind of like telling you not to fly planes. My dad is a career Air Force. So I finally figured out a way to communicate my passion for music to my dad. I said, Dad, you know how you told me when you don't fly a day, you dream you're flying that night. And you almost like the dream better than the reality. And I said, well, Dad, that's how much music drives me. That if I'm not doing it in the day, I'm dreaming it at night, and it wakes me up and I have to write these songs out. And the songs that come through the dreams are incredible.
You're like channeling music almost, would you say?
I'm sorry?
You're like channeling music, would you say?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. And any good artist or musician, I think, becomes a channel. I think we're all channels in life. I think we all find, if we're lucky, latch on to what it makes us passionate in life. And the openness and exploring that allows us to be a vehicle. So that's where the gratitude comes in. I'm grateful to be a vehicle that can communicate these musical impressions.
Yeah, I mean, this program, I like to focus on people contributing positive energy, and that doesn't necessarily mean like they're always in a super, cheerful, happy mood. I don't mean it like that. But like I think gratitude is like the foundation for that. If when we find something that we're passionate about that we can be grateful for, then that just becomes something that we want to share with others, and that becomes a very positive kind of activity.
Absolutely.
And you share your music. So is that how the Smithsonian thing where you came down to coordinate the restaging of the festival that you had done previously in DC? Was that how you wound up moving to St. Croix?
Yes, actually, I was coordinating the Folklife Festival for them, and the third or fourth program that we did was to coordinate the Virgin Islands Folklife Festival. And that was, originally the staging was in Washington, D.C. So I was part of the advanced team that came down here 10 days after Hugo. And we arrived here, in spite of the destruction, the government of the Virgin Islands wanted us to come down anyway. And we were quite surprised. We thought as soon as Hugo hit, that was the end of our programming. But the resilience of this community stepped up to the plate and produced one of the finest folklife festivals we've ever had on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. And the program was a three-part series between the Virgin Islands, Senegal, and Washington, D.C. So we had all those three venues represented, all those three countries or communities represented at the National Mall. And the second year after that, so that was 1990, then in 1991, I got hired by the VI government to restage the festival here. And so I came down originally to live. I came first to work in 1989, and in 1990 came down to live. So we actually had Senegalese here. We had the entire retinue of the Virgin Islands folklife performers, and then we also brought down the folks from DC. So the third year was supposed to be in Senegal, and for some reason the funds disappeared and that never happened. But that's originally what brought me here, and I had been joking with friends before I even knew I was hired to come down to St. Croix. I was joking with friends. They asked me, well, what was I going to do? Because I had been saving up money for my job. And the Smithsonian, they all joked, well, you're going down to the Caribbean for vacation. I was like, nah, I'm not going to the Caribbean for vacation.
I think if you got a little closer to the camera, we would be able to hear you a little better.
Oh, yeah. What I was joking with friends was I told them, I'm not going to vacation in St. Croix or in the Caribbean. I'm just going to go live there. But that was before I had even knew about St. Croix.
Oh, wow.
So that was a little prophetic too, but as soon as I landed on St. Croix, Hugo destruction or not, I knew I had to live here. And I can't really tell
That's the same thing that happened to my wife and myself. I mean, we didn't come, there was no destruction when we came, right. But I always joked that before St. Croix, I had a list of like 5 places I would like to live someday if I could find a job there, like the Rocky Mountains or Capri in Italy, all these like beautiful places that if I could ever figure out how to live there, that's where I want to live. And then we came to St. Croix and I threw that list away of 5 places. And I now had a list of 1 place where I have to live no matter what. And we were back here within a year. So what is African polyrhythmy? I mean,
oh, well, you brought up an excellent question. African polyrhythm is a long way of verbalizing what African drummers do when they play their drums. They layer multi-levels of rhythms together at the same time. So for an unaccustomed ear, people can't grab onto the main beats and figure out how all those different parts relate. But if you're open to allowing the music to enter you and let you feel what's going on with all those various rhythms, it becomes very intoxicating, extremely beautiful. In fact, in my mind, Bach would have loved to hear his songs to African drumming, because the highest pinnacle we've reached harmonically is through classical music, and Bach was the grandfather of that, and Africans have reached the highest pinnacle of rhythmic music. So you combine those two, and you've got the most challenging music on the planet.
Oh, wow. Wow. So you're so with Bach, you're talking about how it's like he'll have many different things going on all at once, but they all kind of work together. And you're saying rhythmically African drumming is like.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely essential collaboration. A microsecond off ruins the whole effect, so that people have to be absolutely aligned to the same main down beats and to understanding the subdivisions of each beat. Because polyrhythm works working the twos against the threes, so it's getting a little more musical discussion here, but most Western music is just one or the other. It's either built on a 4/4 or a 2/4 basis. Count off 1, 2, ready, go. You get 4 beats a measure. Or you do more like the waltz idea, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Well, you get to polyrhythm, and that's really, I think, the basis of 6/8. Because with 6/8, you can balance the 4 against the 3, or the 4 against the 6.
Let's give him an example so he can.
Excellent. So here's the example. This is I want to introduce Kenny Melendez. He's here from Puerto Rico.
Oh, hi, Kenny.
Residence here at Caribbean Museum Center for the Arts. He's doing a fabulous mask-making workshop. It's not too late. If you haven't signed up, you better jump in quick. Go onto their website or their Facebook page and sign up for his classes, because he is phenomenal in what he does in terms of mask making. But I have to say, I was totally blown away once he started playing his drums. And it kind of daunts me and awes me that he's willing to play with me, because he is world-class bar none. From Eddie Palmieri and on out and around and about and all over the world, from Puerto Rico to the United States, and he'd have to tell you more.
Well, I'll give you an example of the polyrhythms that she's talking about. So it's like taking this beat, and then you're gonna hear it with the melody. So if I was to play something, it would be like. So that's basically, you're doing this part. Calling and answering response. So now to hear it with the melody.
Complicated Love, that one I wrote after listening to Dr. Peterson and his group. And it really reminds me of something I heard here in St. Croix.
That is so cool.
I'm sorry?
I said that was so cool. That was so neat the way the drumming and the your melody on the piano was working together.
We have a couple more for you. Yeah, that one.
Wow.
Was bugging me. One day I had to go to work, and it was just bugging me. I was almost late to work, and I had to get it down on the piano before I left work. It just would not leave me alone. And it's called Best Foot Forward.
You sound like a writer trying to pick between a comma and a semicolon.
And it's kind of crazy that way. But when I played it for my son's father, attorney Michael Joseph, he said it sounded like really old-time Quellbay here. That was even before anyone playing currently now. That was the type of music he grew up with in St. Croix. And of course, I wasn't here, so I don't know how that came through me. But as I say, I'm grateful to St. Croix for what does come through me here.
Cool. Yeah.
So I have a couple other ones I'd like to play with Kenny.
Can we do that high speed merengue type upbeat? I was not. I forgot the name of it. It was something. It's one of the last songs we played yesterday.
Okay, well, we'll do those with Jemima.
No, it was way before this.
There's Twist of Fate, and then what I was going to do right now is I'll Always Love You.
Let's do that.
Yeah, I'll Always Love You. And that came through me all one time too. So I wish I'd come all the way through today. All right. So the last one I want to do with Kenny.
Wow. Hey, so tell us, reintroduce your drummer to us again. I think you said he's also an artist and he's got a show. Tell us about the show days he's got going on. Speak up for the camp. Speak up for the mic.
Yeah, I play for two groups of salsa groups from Puerto Rico. One of them is El Conjunto Chaney, which is a romantic style of salsa, and the other group is Costa Brava. It's a heavy side. Those are the two groups that I've been playing lately. Conjunto Chaney for over 9 years, and we've been touring.
Wow.
South America. In fact, we're leaving on the 24th to
Wow.
play in Cali, Colombia.
Oh, wow, wow,
I
wow.
do a lot of folkloric stuff, and I happen to be here to do the classes in the museum, and I just happened to cross with this wonderful lady, and I said, well, you know, I heard her rehearsing one time, and I said, whoa, wait a minute, you know. I would like to help you out in the class and be part of the class and stuff. And, you know, that's how I came about.
Oh, cool.
So I've been really happy to have Kenny's involvement with us now. It's such a quite a unique surprise. And that's one of the collaborations that happens through the museum center.
Yeah, I guess you probably get a lot of found collaborations there at the museum. We need to collaborate with the audio people and get you more volume. But who are we looking at right now?
Student of mine at Henderson School long ago. Now he's an adult and a performer in his own right. Jamani has an.
Hi, Jamani.
As well as born and raised here from Ansincor USBI, and I'm here with Ms. Robb today. I've kind of been practicing on the piano with her, getting more acclimated with the keys, and seemingly extending my range. It's been a pleasure to be here with you, the amazing musicians today, and to experience the amazing sounds happening and all the harmonies and rhythm. And I'm glad to be here to sing for you today.
Great. That's really great. That's fantastic. How long do you plan to stay?
I live here.
I've
lived here my whole life, right? We know each other, right?
Oh, Jamani, is that you?
Yeah,
Your hair has completely changed. I recognize the name, but your hair used to be a lot shorter.
Yes, yes.
Is that the lockdown effect?
Yes, that is the lockdown effect. Okay, so we're gonna be singing two songs for you, composed by Miss Robb. The first one is gonna be "It Happened Again."
All right, cool. I'm gonna mute myself so we get better sound quality.
I'm sorry, what's that?
I said I was gonna mute myself so you get better sound quality.
Yeah, I'm gonna have.
You're fine.
All right, dear friend Dee Carter is holding the camera for us, and she's gonna hold it closer to Jamani, so that we basically hear Jamani's singing. Right. So you're gonna step away from, maybe step back.
Step back a little bit. Okay.
All right. Yeah, get as close as the camera.
nobody could really be, you know. But sure, it happened again. It happened again, again, and again, and again. It happened again, and again, and again, and again, and again. No matter what it could really be, you know. But sure, it happened again. Yeah. He did it again, again, and again.
Wow, that was amazing. That's like a real jazz thing going on. Blues, jazz. You really sung your heart out, Jumani. And what was it? What? Tell us again the name of that song. All right, everybody, you're listening to Jumani Johnson and Liz Robb performing from the second floor Baldwin piano of the Caribbean Museum Center for the Arts in Frederiksted, St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands, here on the Children of the Sun Show. We're here every Friday, 12:30 to 2:30. Liz, Jumani, you guys ready for another one? You want to take you rested? You good? Time's up. Okay.
Love your life, cause you got a light dark now. Get yourself around here.
Very nice. Very nice. Great lyrics. We got.
Okay, are we still on?
Yeah. Wonderful song. Great lyrics. Great music.
Yeah, pretty fun stuff. Yeah. So I wasn't sure how much more time we had. I realized I ran through this set pretty quick.
Yeah, we got about an hour.
I know. Well, you and I can chat, I guess. I'm not sure what else I have to offer.
Well, you were mentioning that Lisa might want to come on as well sometime.
I did. They were planning to come up about 2:00.
Okay, that'll be fine. What do you got? So, what do you guys got going on at the museum over the next couple of months?
Oh, well, see, they're the ones that really have the most information on that. I'm teaching piano here, and
well, tell us about that. You got students. Maybe you're probably full, but you got students that come up.
I have a few more spots available. The after school time gets filled up real quick.
Okay.
I do have a few homeschoolers that could come earlier, a few adults that come earlier. So there's still a little bit of time if people would like lessons.
I mean, I think that is so much more attractive. Go to the Museum Center for the Arts and get your piano lessons at that piano right there, instead of having the stuffy old piano teacher come to your room, your house, with your tiny little spin-it piano.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely.
Like, yeah, I might have taken more than one lesson if I would have had that as a kid.
Right. Right. Well, it certainly inspires me to practice this.
Oh yeah, I bet it does. I bet it does.
Yeah.
Oh, you got like two groups, like a Baroque trio and an African women's
Well, I've had many
drum
groups
thing.
over the years. Yeah, I've had many groups. Right now, what was so nice about Kenny showing up is I've had different performance groups using my compositions, but there's always a problem that happens with the drummers being able to continue. So I had at one point long ago started a women's drum group. Veronica Gordon came to me and asked me if I would help teach the women, because the ITAL drummers would not let them play with them. They wouldn't teach them. And some other male drum group gave them a hard time. So they actually came to me and they were surprised that there was a woman drummer that moved onto the island and asked me to. And so I said, well, yeah, I've studied some. I wouldn't call myself a drummer first and foremost, but I definitely studied 6 years with an African drummer out in California, CK. And I studied when I was in the Bay Area. I had 10 years. I had to study with many different teachers in the diaspora. So Afro-Cuban, Haitian, Congolese, Senegalese. So I've had a experience with many different traditions, but the most experience I had was with West African Ghana. And my friend and teacher CK is the one I wrote the Twist of Fate for. He's the one that helped me understand that my own personal tradition was Celtic growing up. My family was Scottish. And I asked him at one point, how come the Scottish dance music is the same 6/8 as the African 6/8? And he looked at me as if I hadn't quite understood the world yet. And he said, we were in our longboats 1,000 years ago, and we came up to the Celtic Isles. And that's why your music is so intertwined with the 6/8, because your culture was intertwined with Ghana. And at that very point in time, Ghana had president was half Scottish and half Ghanaian, because the intermarriage between the communities has been so long term and so long lived and so well respected between both cultures. And that's something we're not taught in our education or media or whatever. And the way he said it to me was just kind of like, you all don't know what's actually been happening. And I had to admit, no, our information is more restricted than we would even know, because
censored.
Yes, absolutely.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I guess that kind of armed me with the courage that, yes, even though I'm blonde, blue-eyed, Scottish American person, I had a place in African drumming and utilizing tradition. And I spoke to him quite frankly about it. I said, I want to utilize this in teaching. Is this appropriate for me to be trying to teach these rhythms? And CK said to me, absolutely, that anyone who honors our tradition and carries it forward makes the tradition live. And that is more important than anything, is that the tradition continue and evolve. And in fact, in Ghana, they regularly have social clubs where they create new rhythms or new mixtures of rhythms. And it's a ongoing tradition of many festivals throughout the year, and many social clubs that compete to see who's the best drum performance group. And that is also including women's drums groups. And the women tend to play the gankogi, the double bell, more often than the drumming in Ghana. And the double bell is what I have to say really fascinates me. I don't have them here today, but I have a set of 6 different double bells. And when you layer these rhythms on the double bells, it becomes hypnotic. You either love it or you can't appreciate it at all. But and that was from the women's traditions in Ghana. So that was very fun, learning that through my friend and teacher, CK. And so when I got here, I felt like I had his blessings. I guess I should back up that in him telling me that the first teaching job I had teaching African rhythms after I had taught in San Francisco was in the DC area to a bunch of immigrants from Ghana who, in their experience growing up in Ghana, had not been allowed to learn their own traditions.
But why?
Because they were part of the more elite government class, and that was beneath them in terms of what was supposed to be appropriate for acclimating into a Western world. And so it was very unusual that they came to me and asked me to be to teach them their own tradition. It's kind of mind-boggling what happens in this life. But so I felt very honored once again that I could share that information with them and honor the traditions by passing it back to the people who it was originally from. So I felt that way when coming to St. Croix as well, that so many people here are from West Africa originally, and that I just was the vehicle to remind people of traditions that were not lost. We've had Bambula, we've had many different underground ways of retaining the tradition, but in all of the diaspora, the punishment for utilizing African music was severe. And it started actually right here in St. John, USVI. They had captured a whole in 1790, something like that. They had captured a whole group of West Africans and brought them over to the estate in St. John and spread them out all over the estates, all over St. John. And this particular group was all one family cultural group. They all speak the same language. They all had the king, prince, all the retinue was there, the drummers, the master drummers. So they began communicating from plantation, from estate to estate, utilizing the drums. And they set up the first successful revolution in the Caribbean against slavery. And it was communicated specifics because the drum language is tonal. Actual verbal language is communicated through the drums. So they had their strategy set up, the time, the date, the places, the armaments, everything in order to have a successful uprising. And they held that island for 6 months. It took the Danish getting the French Armada to come help them regain control of the island. And then it took the Danes some time to figure out why the Africans had been so successful. And when they realized it was through the drum language, they made the most severe punishments I couldn't have even imagined how severe the punishments were for drumming. Dismemberment, I don't even want to get into it. It's horrendous. All the worst things you can think about, the atrocities humans could do to another happened because of drumming. So in the bones of every mother and father in the Virgin Islands was to make sure your children did not drum for fear of death. So Bambula became very underground.
Wow, that's just shocking. I mean, kids want to drum.
Yes.
Wow.
So you could not as much as drum on a tabletop without fearing the risk of your life. So it carried on to
you were kind of like the librarian, where it got the knowledge got stored for safekeeping till it could be returned to the originator.
Absolutely, it's been quite an unusual adventure for me. Not anything I could have planned or predicted.
Well, do you think you want to get the? It sounds like your women's trio isn't around anymore.
No, we were not a trio. We had 7 of us. We were a force to be reckoned with.
Do you want to get it going again?
Veronica Gordon was an herbalist. You may have known her. Passed away, and she was the one that was the instigator for the whole project.
Okay.
And she was a student at that time of mine, and after 3 years, they all decided they wanted to start performing. So we did that for many, many years until Veronica's passing. And we were still playing afterwards, but some of the fire, it was harder to gather the fire without the lead instigator. Yeah.
Well, maybe Jemani Johnson could, you need some young people. You need to pass the torch.
I've been doing it. I've been teaching it through the schools and through my private classes. Right after COVID, I had a class that had 17 drumming students in it. So I have students come up to me. I taught at Pearl V. Larson in 1991. And there's members of this community that come up and say, I still remember those drum rhythms you taught me in 1991. So I've done my best to make sure I've infiltrated as many areas as I can. Yeah.
Go.
Yeah. So no, the joy of it really, as I said earlier, it's a balance between the complexity of Western harmony, and you put that with a good melody, and you've got some unparalleled, beautiful music. So did you ever do anything with that idea of Bach melody with African polyrhythm drumming? Everything you just heard is that.
Yeah, so it did sound like classical music. I mean, because you said Bach would have loved African polyrhythmic drumming.
Oh yeah, no, the very first song I played, Gratitude, actually could be played, and it sounds very nice with drummers. So
the trio was your II Baroque trio.
Yeah, that was Celtic music, and that was my friend Larry.
Recorder.
Yeah,
What's the difference between a recorder and a flute?
A recorder is a straight wooden instrument straight down, and it's actually the grandmother of all the wind instruments. So recorder, now they use plastic ones in the schools, but the original recorder was wooden, and I have many wooden ones. Larry had many recorders. He was a recorder fanatic, and he came to me and asked if I'd want to do a recorder trio since I play saxophone and recorder too. He knew that would be kind of a no-brainer for me. So, and we had Will Hart as our Celtic drummer with us. So that was really fun. And unfortunately, it didn't quite suit the clientele, or I should say the owners of the restaurants. The clientele seemed to love us. They enjoyed hearing us all the time. But I think we started at the time where it got increasingly harder for groups to be affordable for venues.
Oh,
so unless
yeah,
you were playing more rock and roll.
You're not the first performer here that's sort of talked about that.
Yeah. So you just have to.
But they're just not the same when they put out the what's the word I want, the DJ recorded soundbox music with that instead of like live music by performers.
Exactly. So that's what a lot of performers have had to do, is had to loop it. And a lot of people have made an art of it, some fabulous music happening that way. I'm not disparaging it at all by any means. It's a whole nother.
Have you seen the looping thing on YouTube? This violinist who's looping, oh Lord, it's a popular song. The group Imagine Dragons, they have a song, and there's a video of a violinist playing the entire thing by himself, looping it in Shanghai, and there's people walking by on the street stop and they're just amazed and stunned. Like he plays a little piece of it, he's like...
Jamani's asking, is that a song called Radioactive?
Yes, Radioactive. He plays it with the violin. So he plays the first part and records it. Then he kicks the pedal and accompanies himself recording it. Then he kicks the pedal and accompanies himself, accompanying himself. And he just eventually he's got like 6 different loops going, and they're all him. And he's doing Radioactive by Imagine Dragons. And the people walking by in Shanghai are like just stopping dead in their tracks, their jaws dropping to the floor when they see him doing it. Just Radioactive violin looping. Google that and you'll find it.
Nice. I'll have to check it out. It sounds really good. Sounds great. Yeah. So, I actually encourage all my students, even on piano, to get involved with the drumming. It makes such a difference in terms of you can't play piano without having a consistent rhythm. And so much in our society, the grounding is essential for all of us to find that basic heartbeat inside of us that we can hold on to.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you say?
Jamani was just saying he was having trouble getting the words to come out. Yeah. So,
it's a very vulnerable thing to be singing in public like that.
It is. Yes, it is. So, I know we had, you had originally asked me about the seashell work that I've been doing. And
Right.
And
so I want everybody to know, in addition to being a musical virtuoso, you are also, I guess we could say, an artist with the seashell, responsible for the seashell room at the St. Corey Botanical Gardens. If people are familiar, is it open? It's back open.
Yes, it's open every day. The gardens are open. We established a seashell museum, and it has the largest collection of Virgin Islands seashells anywhere. And it came through music. I had a piano student that decided she'd pay me more if an adult, that she'd increase how much I charge if I would come to her house for lessons. So I agreed. And the first day I stepped into her house, she had all these glass cases full of scientifically identified shells.
Wow.
And it just blew my mind because I grew up in Colorado Springs. And for some reason, I was fascinated with the ocean, but had never seen it. And a great aunt sent me a very small collection of shells. And something got stuck in my brain that I was going to create a seashell museum. I don't know where that came from, 9 years old. But once I realized my student was actually what they call a conchologist, an expert on shell identification. And I
Wow.
was dismayed that coming into the Virgin Islands, there was only one little tiny exhibit over at Cokey Point in St. Thomas and nothing here in St. Croix. And that we were in the process of destroying our marine ecology. The first walk I took in Christiansted the very first night I was here, or I should say the first week I was here, I was invited by Michael Joseph to go out to the Gallows Bay and take a stroll in the evening that way. And there was a huge dredge pile in the middle of that Gallows Bay area that was mangroves. And I was quite confused about what was the dredging going on and what kind of destruction would that be to our ecosystem. And all these years later, find that we have a severely declining shell population because of our overdevelopment and practices of polluting. So the Seashell Society became a very essential thing, I thought, in my mind, to create for the community as a way of building awareness that these are the treasures that not most people know about. And in my work and going into people's homes teaching, I would see these fabulous collections amongst longstanding generational incursions of collections of shells that we don't see anymore on the beaches. And as I met more people that had been living here long term, I realized they had been collecting amazing amounts of shells. And then one of my neighbors worked at DPNR, and he told me that they collect all the shells that people try to take off island and put them in a closet in DPNR. So that was the challenge, all of the challenge I needed. Get a museum started to highlight seashells. That would be a vehicle that would force DPNR to open up their closet, number one, and would allow local people a venue that was safe and set up properly to display their collections. And so we've had numerous different displays from people. The group has been ongoing now for about 8 years, and Sharon Grimes, myself, Zoraida Jacob, and also Marsha Taylor from UBI were the founding members. And so between the four of us, we established this group and established workshops for adults and kids, and started applying for grants to actually create the museum. So the museum space is now got permanent home at the Botanical Gardens. So that's through the work of Sharon Grimes and the people over at the Botanical Gardens. So having a permanent location for our community shell exhibit is essential and provides a touchstone to work off of. So people have been donating shells, and in that time period, a man called us up and said he had 12 big buckets full of shells that he collected out of the original dredge pile from 1991. And he wanted to donate it to us. And somehow all those buckets got left on my back porch. So I spent a year sorting through them and realizing what treasures was in that dredge pile that I'd walked around, and how essential it was that we do a community project to highlight those treasures and safeguard them for generations. So I got invited to go visit my son. He was over in Margate, in Scotland, going to graduate school, and I got an invitation to go visit Margate on my way there. So saved up my frequent flyer miles and was able to get over to Margate and to Scotland, and I saw this underground seashell grotto. And that was all I needed to realize what we needed to do with our extensive collection of mosaics that couldn't be put into the exhibit, and that these were treasures for the community that needed to be retained for community appreciation. So I designed the mosaic panels. The panels themselves are 8 foot tall by 4 foot wide, and they're going to be permanently put on the wall there at the Botanical Gardens. And the bottom panel is a homage to the Africans who created St. Croix. Their hard work, labor, sweat, blood, and tears. It's the African Adinkra symbol for Mother Earth, two hearts inverted on each other. And then the middle one is the Celtic water spiral, and the top panel is the Taino sun god. And so it's essentially earth, water, and fire, and the outside border all the way around being a tip of the hat to the Danish, being filled in with pieces of cheney. So the shells are exquisite. We won't be finding them again for a long time unless we start instantly taking care of our oceans.
So it's sort of like earth, air, water, and fire, the four elements, and then it's sort of like it's a scientific exhibit, but also an artistic exhibit.
Absolutely, and even more than that, an homage to the people who all the cultural groups who created our current St. Croix that we enjoy.
If you go through customs at the airport with seashells in your suitcase, they confiscate them because you're not supposed to take them off the beach.
That's
and
right.
I guess I always thought that they would bring them back, but so no, they put them in a closet at DPNR because I guess you can't, once it's off the beach, I guess you can't really put it back. But so we're losing varieties of marine life, and that's showing up as a loss of the seashells.
Right, that's a real thermostat for what we're doing to destroy the whole ecosystem there. So, yeah. So at any rate, I thought about the connection between music and mosaic design and seashells, and I realized it's all geometric. It's all based on the same principles of vibration and the interconnectedness. Once they are connected in specific patterns, they become extraordinary in their own right, whether it's calcium deposits in a seashell or shells grouped in a mosaic panel or notes on a keyboard or rhythms on a drum. Yeah, it is. They're all Fibonacci's. They're all different versions of life itself. And we are life, and that's what we create with the tools around us and all the things we find around us. So we have the opportunity to share love and to create more positive expression of life every day we're on the planet. The drum group I mentioned earlier, the women's drum group, the name was Ashe Akoma. Ashe means the power to create. Akoma means love. So that's what we each have. Power to create love. Yeah. Each day, every way. Yeah.
Is that in Ghana, Guyanese?
Yeah, the Adinkra symbols are from Ghana, and so it's actually what do you call it? Not geometric, graphic design that they use. They stamp on fabrics or incorporate in. Well, we actually have a lot of them here. They're incorporated in the ironwork. If you look around at the historic communities here on our island, the grill work has incredible geometric designs, but a lot of it actually is a reflection of African traditions. Yeah. So it's pretty interesting how we can incorporate all those things into our visual life that are actually promoting a better life for us all. So when we got started today, I know your work, Ray, is breathing and sound work. And the first thing I did with Jamani when we got ready was stretch and breathe. So it all starts with that essential breath. And what are we going to use each breath for?
Yeah. I mean, I imagine even playing the piano, not just wind instrument people, musicians, but even playing the piano, it's important to breathe.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Most definitely. To ground yourself, definitely. And probably something we tend not to think of as piano players because we're not vocalizing.
Right. But you still, it changes the whole physiology. I have artists who come to me to do the sacred breathwork that I do with them, and they say it boosts their creativity, and it's
Right?
because you get more relaxed in your body, and then you can perform and think and play better.
Absolutely.
It's not just like if you're singing or if you're playing the flute or the recorder or the oboe or the saxophone.
Right?
Even just playing the piano or the guitar. So if people go to the botanical gardens to see the shell museum, do they have to go at a special time or make a special request, or it's just
No. As long as the botanical garden is open, the exhibit's open. And you just go up to the Great House, and it's down along the corridor on the left side of you actually has two openings, but yeah, just right up there in the Great House at the Botanical Gardens. Yeah.
And so, are you planning on performing at any venues coming up? Any live performances?
No, Ray, I end up spending too much of my time teaching. But also, as I mentioned earlier, the drummers seem to come and go easily. I'm not quite sure how that happens in my life, but as I mentioned, Veronica is no longer with us, and then I had a group set up at a performance group. We were playing my songs with a bunch of women that had been in the drum group, and we were invited to be the headliners for the Gay Pride Month here at the museum. Right before Maria, we were performing over at Franklin's, and they liked what we were doing, and that was quite exciting for us. And then Maria hit. So because of Maria, the lead drummer Ayatora Schulten had to evacuate, and she's still in the States for medical reasons. And then I started performing with Junie Bomba. And Junie had to leave to St. Louis for medical reasons. And just most recently, I've been caregiver for a dear friend who was part of our drumming group, and she just passed away 10 days ago.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Another one of my drummers. So, so when Kenny came to work at the museum, that was an excellent opportunity for me to try out my songs again with a really good drummer. So I'm always looking for opportunities to enlarge, to recreate a performance group. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Maria, and just to say that Maria, and also I guess the pandemic for some. It just seems like it's been blocking so many avenues of creative expression.
Oh, absolutely. Well,
if people are hearing this radio, people are hearing, listening to us right now. If you want to help get this going again, get a hold of Elizabeth at the museum, and let's get something going again.
Right. Ray, before I forget, I need to mention that I am teaching Fridays at Sun Tzu Dojo in Princess. So for those who live east, that's another venue where they can come for lessons there. And Alda Andus, I have to really thank her for her support all these years. I was teaching there many years ago to offer my services to East End clientele. So
yeah, and I guess the same discipline required for music is required for martial arts. I could see the overlap. overlap?
Well, it's interesting because Alda really likes the vibes that having music there adds to her studio. So
Cool.
yeah, it's been a beautiful cooperation with her. But I also I've been teaching here at the museum for several years now, and I really want to big up the museum itself and thank them for providing the venue and the not only for teaching but also for our performances. And it's just fabulous how this has become a real performance venue in many respects. And I've invited Lisa Morstad, the
Director.
director for the Caribbean Art Museum, and I'd like to turn the mic over to her so she can do a better introduction of herself.
Actually, Beth, you did a much better job speaking than most musicians I've interviewed.
Oh, wow. I guess that's because I'm a teacher.
Okay, hi, Lisa. Lisa
Hello,
Morstad, you're the director.
Yes,
so what?
Go ahead.
No, I just want to introduce you to let everybody know you're the director for the Caribbean Museum Center for the Arts. So what is it like being a museum director?
Well, I can tell you that it is a lot of fun. That is for sure. And we get to listen to fabulous musicians like Elizabeth Robb and all of her students, up and coming musicians, and it's a really wonderful place to be. We have this very beautiful building with an outdoor courtyard. It's stunning. We're in West in the blue building on Strand Street, 10 Strand Street. So it's an extraordinary experience to be here on a daily basis.
Oh, I think everyone on St. Croix knows where the Caribbean Museum Center for the Arts is. I was here when you weren't all that. The museum was like not all. It's like really amazing looking. It's come a long way since what it looked like when I first moved here. And I think now you're like a force to be reckoned with worldwide, or at least in the entire Caribbean. It's not just a local museum anymore.
Well, that's correct, and we're expanding our outreach a lot more. We continue to, and we're trying to a lot more as well. So we'd like to, we're sort of geographically at the gateway to the Caribbean, if you will. So we'd like to continue to expand our programming to include more and more islands and more artists, of course, for sure.
What kind of exhibits coming up do you have, or what's showing right now?
So
Catch
right
me
now,
up to speed.
We have an exhibition that just opened on this past Saturday, October 1st, and it'll be up through November 12th, and it's called The Energies of Cuban and Puerto Rican Art, and it's curated by Wilfred Labiosa, who happens to be a board member, but he's an extraordinary curator as well, and has access to some incredible artwork from Cuba and, of course, his home, which is Puerto Rico. So I highly encourage everybody to come out. It's a really beautiful show. I'll also note that we have one entire gallery room that is featuring Tuna Garcia, which is our own St. Croix artist here. Much loved. He passed earlier this year, and we're honoring him in one of our galleries. So I'd like to encourage everybody to come on out. The show's up through November 12th. And then we have another exhibition opening on November 18th, and that is called Diaspora Expressions on Spirituality and Ritual. And that's curated by Barbados and New York City curator, who will be visiting us, as well as our artist in residence, Adamola Olugubafola, and several other artists from throughout the Caribbean are included in that exhibition. So we have more, but I'll keep it at that because I have my education coordinator here with us and my director of development here who'd like to say some words as well about the museum.
Oh, great.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hello.
My name is Jessica Parker White. Thank you for having us on this afternoon. How are you doing today?
Great. Thank you for coming. Are you the education coordinator?
I am the education coordinator here at the Caribbean Museum Center for the Arts, and we've been very, very busy. As always, we've got lots of different programs to offer age 2 all the way up to adults. So we have our Little Artist Day that happens about every other month, and that's for age 2 to about 6 or 7. We had in August, our last Little Artist Day, we had a petting zoo here at the museum center. We had clowns and arts and crafts, and all that whole event was free for those young children. We do after school programs here and summer series as well. So we had 8-year-olds to 12-year-olds usually for that program. And then we have our teens, which is age 13 to 18. So right now we're really excited to have Kenneth Melendez here from Puerto Rico, and he's teaching us how to make masks. And so it's going to be our very first time the Caribbean Museum Center will have a children's troupe here for the upcoming carnival. So we're excited to be part of the Children's Day Parade.
Oh wow! So it's like getting art into the hands of the children from an early age. This is like a real resource for people.
Exactly. So we're seeing children from the private school, the public schools, come to see use the museum center as a great place to learn, to enhance their art skills, as well as adults too. So we actually just did some silk screening classes with adults the last 2 nights. Our last group actually had so much fun, they didn't want to leave. So the class was supposed to end at 8:30 p.m., but we ended up staying till 10 o'clock at night just because we were having such a great time.
Cool. The silk screening?
Yes, we had an artist from Puerto Rico that came over who's a part of this exhibition that's going on at the museum center. Highly recommend that everybody comes to the museum so they can see this wonderful exhibition on Cuban and Puerto Rican art.
And are the changing exhibits versus the permanent installations on different floors of the museum, or does that also kind of rotate around?
So we have the downstairs is our gallery space downstairs, as well as our gift shop. And Tamara Michaels does a wonderful job with that. We are representing 180 plus Caribbean artists in that downstairs gift shop and gallery space. I know, it's amazing. Everything from candles and soaps to photography to sculptures. We have a lot of wonderful Waldemar Broadhurst sculptures downstairs, paintings, anything you're looking for your house, or really good for the upcoming holiday season for gifts as well too. That's downstairs. And then on the second floor is the exhibition hall. And in the exhibition hall, that's where you're seeing different exhibitions that are rotating, but we do have a section for our permanent collection as well too.
And everybody should drop by. What are your hours there at the museum? Because I think people, I know there's people who are new to the island or just visiting, tourists who don't know about the museum, and then there are also people who've lived here for their whole lives who know about it, heard about it, but somehow never quite made it there. So let's tell everybody the hours and days of operation so that they can get in there and partake.
Perfect. Thank you for asking. So we are open Tuesday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. So again, Tuesday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. In fact, I would highly recommend to people, if they're in the area during like their lunch hour, they could come here, take a look at the wonderful exhibition. We also have a beautiful courtyard space, so you could come and bring your lunch and relax. And that way you can check out all the wonderful art that's happening here at the museum. We are located at number 10 Strand Street. That's right on the waterfront. We are south, if you will, of First Bank and Frederickstead Pier. Blue building, white shutters, 2-story tall, beautiful building here is where we're housing the Caribbean Museum Center for the Arts.
Cool. Hey, Jessica, I remember when I was a kid one time, we did something where we cut up strips of newspaper and then just slathered them with Elmer's glue and started stacking them up. Is that how you make masks? Is that the kind of mask making that you're talking
We're
about?
actually not doing that. That's actually paper mache mask. But Kenneth,
Okay.
again, is a master mask maker. So I'm excited. That's one of the things I love about my position here at the Museum Center is I get to be a participant and student too. So I get to learn new techniques. He's actually having
And guinea pig.
Yes. So I'm right there with the students right now in the after school program. We're learning how to use foam to create our one of a kind special pieces here for the Children's Day parade. I think next week he's going to be teaching us a more traditional method that's used there in Puerto Rico with some wire mesh that he's going to be showcasing and sharing with us his knowledge.
Okay. Sounds less messy.
Yes, well, I think that's an important message, what you just spoke about, which is you have a vivid memory of something that happened a long time ago, I'm guessing, in your childhood. And I think that's what art really does for people, is that you have those happy connections from your childhood. And that's what we're here at the museum to help children be able to create. And sometimes we have programs too, where parents can come in with their child, like we did for the summer program, which we were learning how to do embroidery. And so that the students could have that connection, the children could have that connection with a loved one while they were learning the craft of quilting.
Yeah. Happy memory. Although they were not all that long ago, I must say. I don't know what you're trying to imply.
I can't see your face, so you're right. I couldn't presume. You're correct. So I don't know how close. And I hope you come and use the facility yourself too, so you can come and create some pieces here. We've got stained glass classes coming up. We've got clay classes as well for the adults. And in fact, Kenneth is teaching a mask making class this Saturday, and I still have some space available for tomorrow's class. It's going to be an all-day class. It starts at 9 a.m. tomorrow, and then it's going to be ending, I believe that class ends at 3 o'clock tomorrow with a lunch break. And our members get a discount, so it's another good reason to become a member at the Museum Center as well too, to help support and keep our doors open and free for the public.
Great. Thank you. That's so.
You're welcome.
That's an amazing amount of things you got coming up.
Yes.
Oh,
So and that's I would tell everybody to please join us on Facebook, Instagram. We do have a TikTok account as well too. That way you don't miss out on any of these events. We're constantly updating our website as we're having new artists approach us with different ideas and concepts. Again, age 2 all the way up to adult. You can find it all right here at CMC Arts.
Cool. Who's next?
I'm going to turn it over to Levon. Thank you so much.
We have
Hello,
Levon with us,
Levon.
Levon Wise.
Hi,
Yeah.
how are you? Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Bess. I don't know if Jessica mentioned that Kenneth Melendez is our artist in residence. He was also jamming on the congas with Elizabeth Robb, so he's super multi-talented. And he's here with us for about...
So Kenneth's the artist in residence.
Yes, and he was also jamming with Miss Robb.
Oh yeah. I knew that he was. I was there when he was performing it with the drums, and Elizabeth mentioned that he was also an artist.
Yes.
What, like a painter?
He is doing the mask making that
He's doing the mask
Jessica
making.
was just speaking about.
I didn't catch the name. Okay, so all right then. Thank you. Kenny is the drummer for Elizabeth,
so many
and
multifaceted
doing the mask making and
here. There's so much talent here. It's phenomenal. We have our major fundraiser for the fall coming up. CMC Arts Incorporated is partnering with the YAG Foundation, Yvonne A. Gallagher Foundation for Breast Cancer and Breast Cancer Awareness. We're doing our fundraiser on October 22nd here with DJ Swain, DJ OG, who's a Grammy jurist from the DMV, and our local songstress, Derry Tucker. So that's going to be a really fun event. We have contests for the best decorated table, pink sunglasses, and sandals. We also have coming up cultural travel with CMC Arts to Cuba. We'll be leaving that week of November 19th. There are 18 of us going to Cuba with the curator of the current exhibit, Dr. Wilfred Labiosa, as our guide, and we'll be there for a week, and we're really excited about that. The beginning of November, we have the Orchid Palette Show hosted right here at CMC Arts. So we're excited about that. Lisa already told you about the Diaspora Expressions on Spirituality and Ritual exhibition coming up. And then New Year's Eve, we have, returning for New Year's Eve, we have Sharu Suri performing live here. That'll be a beautiful VIP event under the stars on New Year's Eve.
That sounds like a wonderful way to spend New Year's Eve.
It is.
Is there going to be a better place for New Year's Eve, bringing in the new year on St. Croix?
There is no better place to bring in the new year than here at CMC Arts. We're right on the waterfront. You're going to be listening to some amazing rock music from this Grammy nominated artist. And then
what was the name of the artist again?
Sharu Suri. She's performed here many times, and she loves coming for New Year's Eve to perform.
Wow!
Here. And there's no better place because you're listening to a concert under the stars of this beautiful pianist, and singing her raga songs. And then you just come out to the window right here in our exhibition space or out into the harbor and watch the fireworks and then come back in and continue to enjoy your night. So this is a very, very special space.
Yeah, sounds wonderful. Is it the Orchid thing? Is that the Orchid Society?
It is in conjunction with the Orchid Society, yes. And that first weekend in November, there'll be all kinds of exhibition and contests going on here. So we're really excited about that. But I want to...
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, I just said I want to encourage everyone to support the arts because art is the story of us. Everything that we have, own, touch, is created, is art. And so with the youth programming to adults, we have everything from toddlers to senior citizens, everything in between. We have art therapy for cancer survivors and for violence survivors. So we have so much programming going on. And as Jessica just said, it's just continuing to grow. And if you see what Ms. Robb does with the youth, with the piano, voice, drums, it's phenomenal. So we have all forms of art here.
So I had no idea. So there's like art therapy for people working through issues going on there as well.
Yes, everybody needs art therapy these days, I think. People are really, really stressed out, just coming out of this COVID time or wherever we're going with that. And they need to decompress and deal with their feelings. But we also help victims of violence, and we help people who are affected by cancer. With
all of this taking place at the Caribbean Museum Center for the Arts.
That's correct. And
so what a service to the community.
Yes, it is. And I would like to invite everyone to become a member or a sponsor so that we can continue to provide this kind of programming to our community and the Caribbean diaspora. So please help support us.
Yes, everyone should, and everyone will, I'm sure.
You can go to our website, cmcarts.org, and hit the donate button or give me a call, Lavon Wise, at 340-772-2622.
That's Lavon Wise at 340-772-2622 for
so you can find out how you can support the Caribbean Museum Center for the Arts. Yes.
Caribbean Museum. Yeah. I just keep calling it the museum, but yeah, Caribbean Museum Center for the Arts is the official real name. Well, Lavon, thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us about all the programs going on there, and I hope everyone takes you up on your offer to be.
Thank you so much.
But we're making trips to Cuba now. Like it's on a it's not a. You remember it used to be like a big hush hush secret illegal thing.
Well, since the
You sneak
Obama
off to Cuba.
administration, you can go on educational, cultural tours to Cuba with licensed guides, and so we're really excited to offer that to our members. And becoming a member, you really get to hear firsthand what's happening here. And there's always some update, always something new happening here beyond just what Lisa and Jessica and I have told you. There's always more programs in development here.
Oh, wow, that's really great. I mean, so it's really good reason to become a member of the Caribbean Museum Center for the Arts and sharing all the good work. And it's not. I mean, if all you were doing was just making beautiful art available to everyone on a regular basis, that would be enough. But you're making these programs for dealing with stress and anxiety and violence and education for children and getting them involved in arts from the age of starting at 2.
Yes.
It's just like so much going on there. It's amazing.
It is amazing, and it's wonderful, and it's beautiful, and it is a beautiful space right in the heart of downtown Frederiksted. Our windows look out into the harbor, the Frederiksted Harbor, and it's just on the Caribbean Sea. It's really, really a beautiful space.
Yeah, your art the art on the walls has to compete with the art out the window.
It's all complimentary.
Well said. Well said.
Well said. Elizabeth, are you there still?
I'm still here. I want to thank Levon for coming up. She's so eloquent in her words, and I really appreciate her presence here at the museum too.
I appreciate you, Bets. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
So,
Thank you.
The members of the museum are doing a phenomenal job here. The things are just cooking right off the charts. So it's amazing how many things are getting involved, and how many people that they're creating collaborations with. And today was a great example, having Kenny come up and participate with me on this show, and my former student Jamani as well. It's kind of amazing to have those opportunities present because I'm here at this museum. So that's why I wanted to make sure I gave them a good chance to promote what they're doing here and to highlight the activities they've got going.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, it's some real amazing things going on there. It's
Right.
all like it's like the more like the Smithsonian than a regular museum.
Right. Well, they've kind of expanded the borders of what is possible in a museum space. So, yeah. So they kind of expanded the definition of what art museum can do.
Cool. Yeah. But nothing's is like totally like off the wall or unconnected to art. I mean, you could see where working with art from the standpoint of dealing with the stress of COVID lockdown would be very viable and would work. It's not just
actually, I'm glad you mentioned that, Ray, because what happened during COVID, of course, most places were locked down, and this was one of the few venues that was open and available. And I didn't have a lot of students. Not many people were willing to come out at the time, so I had a lot of time to practice here. And I used to play in the evenings, and there would be a crowd gathered out here on the waterfront for my little impromptu concerts.
Wow.
And regularly, I would get a standing ovation from people who finally had the bravery to come out again after all the fear from the lockdown and the concern about contamination. And that was one way that it was accessible, that I could be up here on the second floor playing music out the windows, and there was no problem with people walking along the waterfront freely to enjoy the music. And so I actually did that for our first concert here, the spring concert that year in 2020. I had the audience sit out on the lawn on the waterfront, and the students play at the window. And I had my horn players sticking their horns out through the window for the concert, and it felt very victorious that
Hey,
we still
Victorious,
could.
I bet that was incredibly well received.
Yeah, we couldn't have performances indoors at that point. It was restricted, but we could. The kids have been working all semester, and they needed a venue to show what they'd been working on, and so that was one solution. And it was because the community had been enjoying me performing through the windows in the evenings that inspired me to just go ahead and invite people to bring their lawn chairs, sit on the waterfront. As you can see, it's just a gorgeous waterfront out here. Plenty of shady places, especially in the morning. And it was just incredibly well received. And I think provided so much relief for all of us that, yes, there is a way to continue, and there is a way to create safe and clean environments for us all to continue to utilize. Because we are human creatures, we need to interact. We need to have the human exchange on so many levels. And art is one of the biggest ways, and music, of course, definitely a way that we can interact with each other in that sense. So, yeah, this space provided that kind of outlet for me, and that was certainly therapy for me to continue through such a challenging time anyway.
Yeah.
Yep.
We got a few minutes left. Did you want to treat us to like one more performance?
I had a feeling you'd be asking me to do that. And I have a song I wrote for my son. I had started playing it earlier.
Oh,
And,
but before you play,
yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt, because you mentioned your son earlier, and I wanted to ask you, is that the one that's flying the drones in Florida?
He actually is. He's living in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and has an excellent job working for, it's a company that specializes in drones, mostly for cell phone tower construction, but they obviously do many other things as well. And he's coordinating drone pilots, to do the rescue work in Florida right now. So it's surveying damage and locating people, equipment, whatever you can do from a drone's point of view that you can't do on the ground.
Wow.
So I'm sure he's been overloaded with work. I know he told me he was working nonstop.
I bet.
Yeah. But it's so exciting to me because even with a graduate degree, he wanted to go join the Air Force because he thought that he could use his skill in drone work there. And I just could not believe I'd spent so much time raising a son, he'd end up in the Air Force, even though my father was from the Air Force. That was what my experience was growing up. And so I encouraged him to.
I'm an Air Force brat. I grew up on Air Force bases.
Yep. Well, I never actually had to be on the base. My dad always wanted to live off base, and now I understand why. And yeah, but it provides security, but you end up doing things you might regret otherwise, or being a part of things you wouldn't want to support after all. So I'm glad he listened to my advice and took the risk and tried to forge through getting hired in private venues. And just a real good turn of events happened where he got asked to become a part of this new company that's really growing now. And you can see with events like the Florida devastation, the exponential possibilities of drone use for the things that we actually need in a positive way. Yeah.
Well,
So
hopefully, let's take it out. You tell me what are you playing? Who are the performers? And I want to give like a official introduction, and we'll play we'll end the show. We'll just go out with your performance.
Oh, that's very nice. Yeah, I've had Jamani Johnson with me here today, and also Kenny Melendez. Jamani is a local performer here. He was a former student of mine, actually now a current piano student of mine, and incredible vocalist. He's got a 5-octave range. Yeah. And, well, he can hit 5 C's, so we'll count that as 5-octave. He's
4 plus
an
1.
operatic quality of voice, and he plays guitar, and he's learning piano now with me. So he was singing with us earlier, and then Kenny Melendez was playing percussion for us, and he's a professional percussionist and a professional artist from Puerto Rico. So he's doing the one mentioned earlier, doing the mask making workshop here currently to create the costuming for their children's parade. So this song I'm going to do is a composition I wrote for my son. He kind of fractured a Valentine's Day for me one time. We were both had to go to school, and I was getting wanted to make a special birthday, what do you call it, breakfast for him on Valentine's Day because we had to go to school anyway. And he was 16 and not having it. He was not going to be happy about anything. And so I dropped him to school, just totally discouraged that all my efforts just got thrown out the window, and got to my classroom at Henderson School. And I didn't remember that I had an hour to myself before I had to start teaching. So I went on the piano there, and this whole entire song came out. And basically was, I'll always love you even though you do me wrong.
Okay.
I hope you listen to the wording of this song. Anyway,
wow.
It had a whole, so by the time the class came at the end of the hour, I was singing the entire lyrics, full tilt boogie in that classroom, and heard the knock on the door and kept singing it on my way up to the door, kept singing it as I opened the door, and finished out the whole entire song so that by that point, all the teachers up and down the hallways were opening the doors, and they were all trying to figure out what happened to Miss Robb, what's going on with her. And by the time I finished my song, I had a standing ovation in the school hallways. So
wow.
yeah, it's real fun when songs come through you. So here's hoping I can perform it for you so you can enjoy it too. I'll always love you.
Well, thank you.
guys. Love you.
All right. Thank you, Elizabeth Robb, Jemani Johnson, Kenny Melendez, Lisa Morissette, Ron Laverne, and thank you all for joining us here on Children of the Sun, Caribbean Museum Center for the Arts. Get out, enjoy the weekend, get to the museum, get out in nature, say hi to a tree, and thank you. And you guys have a great week. See you next Friday.
Thank you so much, Ray. We really appreciate the opportunity. Have a great day yourself.